If you're new here, then welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. Today we are off for a little womble around St James's Park.
Yay!
Coming up, we've got lots of exciting things. Iconic architecture. We've got the beautiful Grade 1 listed Charles Haldane building. We've got celebrity houses. We've got quirky wildlife because we're going to go and have a look around the park. We've got some iconic sites. Obviously, St James's Park is very close to all the iconic sites. And we're going to go on the hunt for some blue plaques. I love finding blue plaques, and I especially like finding plaques for interesting, trailblazing, iconic women. So let's go see what we can find today. We're in the concourse of the underground station here. Now, there's only 2 underground stations on the entire network that are Grade 1 listed, and this is one of them. The other one is Bank. It makes this a very special and unique underground station. It was designed by Charles Haldane. It's on 2 lines, the District line and the Circle line. It's a hop, skip and a jump away from St James's Park, so it's in Zone 1, very central. It's got 2 platforms, and it originally opened in 1863. It falls under the local authority area of the City of Westminster, and it serves the area of St James's. Very posh, very posh. So let's go have a little look around. Straight out the gate we get a grade sticker because this is a Grade 1 listed building. Like I said earlier, the station is one of 2 Grade 1 listed buildings on the TfL network, and then above the station there's a building called 55 Broadway, which was designed by Charles Haldane as well. London's first skyscraper. At the time of it being built in 1929, it was the tallest building in London. I've been seeing some photographs of the builders having a jolly old time on the building site. I mean, it just makes me chuckle. Look at it. I mean, these must be someone's great granddad there. No hard hat, no high vis, no health and safety. 0 fucks given. I love it. Making use of vertical space and building in this way was quite a pioneering move. They'd done it in New York, but this was brand new for London. And it was the tallest building in London until it was taken over by another Charles Haldane building, Senate House. I talked about that in my Baker Street video. That Baker Street video has received quite good views and quite good feedback. So if you watched that and gave me a like or a comment, thank you very much. I do appreciate all these likes and comments. Anyway, I'm rambling. So 55 Broadway was designed by Charles Haldane, but also there was some artwork on the facade, some sculptures and the likes from sort of notable artists of the time. In particular, there's one entitled Night and Day, which was pretty controversial. It caused quite a public outcry actually, because there's like a phallus on the sculpture, which people were kind of clutching their pearls and not very happy about it, and they wanted it taken down, but Epstein refused to modify his work, so fair play. And it gets screen points because it's been used as a filming location in Batman, no less. Batman The Dark Rises. So it was used as like a mock Gotham City backdrop. How cool is that? Who was your favourite Batman? It's got to be Michael Keaton, right? Mine's Michael Keaton. I highly rate Michael Keaton. Beetlejuice, Batman, and then more recently, that role he played in Dope Sick. He was fantastic in that. Okay, we're heading away from 55 Broadway now, along Tothill Street, where we've got our first blue plaque of the day for Lady Stella Reading, who in 1958 made history by becoming the first woman to speak in the House of Lords. So she gets power points. She was a philanthropist and social reformer, best known for founding the Women's Voluntary Service in 1938, which played a critical role in World War II, obviously. And, quirky fact, she was the founder of Meals on Wheels. So, what a fantastic woman. Next we are off to Christchurch Gardens on Victoria Street, so I'm just going to turbo through this footage. Oh, there's a nice view of 55 Broadway there. Right, okay, so this is Christchurch Gardens. It's a nice green space. I ate my lunch here actually as it goes. It's a lovely little space. Historically significant because this is where the suffragettes used to hang out.
We're clearly soldiers in petticoats and dauntless crusaders for women's votes.
Excuse the little musical interlude there, but that's where my mind goes. I hear the word suffragette, I hear Glynis Johns singing. Here we have the Suffragette Memorial, which was unveiled in 1970 by Lillian Linton. Now, she is an absolutely fascinating woman. So you'll see a picture of her here unveiling the statue. So she died in 1972, and the memorial was unveiled in 1970. But she's like a surviving militant suffragette. If you're interested in women's history, I highly suggest looking her up. She is fantastic. This was a popular spot for the suffragettes, and Caxton Hall, which we're walking towards now, was where they used to gather and do their talks and get ready for their rallies, because obviously Westminster was just up the road. This is Caxton Hall, where the suffragettes used to gather. There's also a plaque there for Sir Winston Churchill. Churchill, the great orator, was also a prolific writer. In fact, a well-decorated writer. He actually won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1953. And I've also got a brilliant story about Winston Churchill. He was a great man, but he wasn't well liked by the suffragettes, because he could often be quite dismissive of them. So there's this one lady called Mary Maloney. She is a legend. So she was an Irish suffragette who, she wasn't very happy about Winston Churchill and some of the things he had to say about the suffragettes and the women's movement. So she followed him around clanging a bell. Every time he opened his mouth to speak, she'd just ring this bell, which just tickles me. I mean, it's rude and genius in equal measures. What an absolute legend. Caxton Hall has seen a lot of action over the years. It's actually a registry office, and because of its location, it's seen some quite high-profile weddings in its stay. Elizabeth Taylor got married here. I mean, she got married a lot, right? Joan Collins got married here. Diana Dawes got married here. Roger Moore, Ringo Starr. I mean, what a fabulous location. It is a beautiful building. It's a listed building as well. Grade 1 listed, so built between 1882 and 1883 in like a Queen Anne revival / Gothic revival style. It's very elegant. The Victorians built it. They loved a bit of elegance. Next up, we've got an equally elegant building, but unfortunately it's covered in scaffolding. But thanks to the power of Google Maps and stock images from the internet, I'm now going to wave my magic wand and show it to you. Now, this is a beautiful Grade 1 listed building. It was a school that was established in 1709, but the reason I'm showing it to you is it's a very fine example of Queen Anne architecture. We're going to see some more examples of this in a bit when we go down Queen Anne's Gate. Okay, so we're now on a road called Petty France, and I love the street names in London, so I looked this one up. The name Petty France dates back to the 17th century. This area is where the French Huguenot immigrants settled, and Petty France translates as Little France. So like, you know, in New York they've got Little Italy, so this is Little France, and obviously Petty is a corruption of petite. Next up, we've got a City of Westminster plaque for Jeremy Bentham, who was an English philosopher and quirky, progressive, deep-thinking chap. He advocated for numerous social reforms, including the decriminalisation of homosexuality, the abolition of slavery and women's suffrage. He was also a bit of an odd bod, and he carried a teapot round with him wherever he went. I like the sound of this guy. Right, we're now walking down Queen Anne's Gate, which is an absolutely amazing street. I mean, brace yourselves, we've got loads of plaques coming up. But before then, look what I found. I found one of these crochet toppers for the letterbox. I love these things. I love these people that make these things. If anyone knows who was responsible for this, please let me know so I can tag them. Here we've got number 40, Queen Anne's Gate. This is a Grade 1 listed house. That's quite rare. That's usually reserved for, you know, really spectacular buildings, but these are spectacular buildings. And that blue plaque is for the author John Stuart Mill, who was the writer of the early feminist book, The Subjugation of Women. If you're new to my channel, you might think, good God, this girl, all she does is bang a drum about suffragettes and feminism and women's history, and that's not always the case with my videos. I'm very interested in women's history. If I know of some history in the area that's related to it, I will draw attention to it. But if you watch some of my other videos, you know, they're not a whole long list of women's history. It's just this area seems to be quite rich in it. We'll probably find the same when we're over in Bloomsbury. London is like a series of little villages, and each area's got its own thing, and this area is quite rich in women's history, which is fab, and so that's why I'm talking about it. Next up, at number 26, we've got a blue plaque for Lord Haldane, lawyer and statesman. More interestingly, guess who used to live here? Only Sting and Trudy. They lived here for 20 years. It's also grade 1 listed, so we've got a hat trick here on this one. Okay, next up we've got another grade 1 listed house, number 20 Queen Anne's Gate, and we've got a plaque here for Lord Palmerstone, Prime Minister Lord Palmerstone. Real name Henry John Temple. And then after that we've got a double header, 2 plaques, 1 house. I love it when this happens. This is number 16, and this is grade 1 listed as well. The plaques are for Lord Fisher and William Smith. What an absolute beauty this house is. Just look at it. 4 stories of epicness. Then across the road at number 1, we've got the former house of Sir Edward Grey. David Armstrong Jones, who's the son of Princess Margaret, he was the interior designer for these flats, and one of them fetched £9 million. 9 million for a flat. Okay, lovely old boozer on the corner there. Look at that, 2 chairmen. Let's give it some pub points. I didn't go in, but I love these old pubs. Okay, we have arrived at our destination. At the end of Queen Anne's Gate, we've got this little beauty, Cockpit steps. I love exploring London on foot, and the reason I love exploring on foot is because you get to go down these weird little alleyways and rat runs and things. This is a cut through to St James's Park, and you wouldn't get down here in a car or on a road.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Cockpit Steps is quite famous. Hogarth painted it, and it's rumoured to be haunted by a headless woman, apparently. And the steps themselves are actually the last remaining parts of the old royal cockpit. A cockpit and a gambling den for the royals and the aristocrats. Talked about cockfighting when we did in St Paul's. If you haven't seen that St Paul's video, please do check it out. That's my most watched video since I started my channel, and I am particularly proud of that one. I love making these videos. I love trying out little new tricks with the editing and things, and I'm learning new tricks all the time, but that St Paul's one was a lot of fun to make. This St James's Park one's been a lot of fun to make as well. Talking of St James's Park, look where we are. Let's have a look at the map. We haven't done that yet. We're at the halfway point, so let's have a look and assess the situation. So we started off at the lovely St James's Park station and had a look at 55 Broadway. Then we wandered along to look at the Lady Stella Reading plaque. Then we went down a side street to get onto Victoria Street, where we went into Christchurch Gardens, had a look at the Suffragette plaque. Then on to Caxton Hall, where we saw that Winston Churchill plaque. Then Blewcoat School, you remember the one with the scaffolding? Then we went up to Petty France to join Queen Anne's Gate, where we saw all of those amazing grade 1 and 2 listed buildings. And then from there we cut up Cockpit Steps into St James's Park, which is where we are now. I love St James's Park. It's my favourite of all the royal parks. I just think it's spectacular. So it spans 57 acres and it's the oldest of the royal parks, established in 1603 by King James I. A lot of the landscaping is down to the architect John Nash. We saw him when we did Baker Street. It's got iconic points, it's got grade points because it's got a lot of those grade 2 listed iconic gas lamps. They can be found in St James's Park. We get screen points because it's been used as a filming location for loads of different films, and it gets bookworm points because Virginia Woolf loved this park and based most of Mrs. Dalloway around like walking through St James's Park. And it gets Womble points because, like I said, it's my favourite. It's named after St James's Hospital, which used to be a leper hospital, because all of this site used to be marshland and sort of the marshy grounds for an old leper hospital. There's loads of wildlife, including pelicans. So the pelicans were first introduced in 1664, and they were a gift from the Russian ambassador to King Charles II. But they quickly became quite a beloved attraction, and they've been there ever since. They are one of the largest species of pelicans in the world, and they've got names: Sun, Moon, Star, Isa, Tiffany. Unfortunately, I haven't got any footage of the pelicans, which is so annoying. Whenever I cut through the park, I always see them, and then when I go to actually film them, they're nowhere to be seen. But I can assure you they are in there, and you often see them. Feeding time for the pelicans is 2:30 next to Duck Island Cottage, this cute little grade 2 listed cottage. I mean, how gorgeous is this? Beautiful gardens, very photogenic. Next up, we've got the Mall. So St James's Park is bordered by the Mall, which is basically the red carpet road. Dorothy has the yellow brick road, and we have the red tarmac road. People lining the Mall will always be iconic. It's been the site of major public celebrations, royal weddings, where everyone queues up on here to see that kiss on the balcony. It is absolutely iconic. When I went up, the flags were out. I love it when the flags are out. They were getting ready for Trooping of the Colour. It gets screen points because it's been used in films loads of times. I came down here a couple of years ago, and they were filming Fast and Furious 7 or whatever it was. Can't remember which one, but I know my son was quite excited. I'm giving it Womble points because I just love it. I know it's a cliche, but I absolutely love the Mall. Seeing it just brings a little pocket of joy to me. And it gets PowerPoints because in 1974 Ian Ball tried and failed to kidnap Princess Anne from her car on the Mall. Now this is a brilliant story. So a guy called Ian Ball basically ambushed the car and tried to kidnap Princess Anne, but she wasn't having any of it. Apparently Ball demanded that Princess Anne get out the car, and she refused, famously responding, "Not bloody likely." What a legend. I love that story. I think Princess Anne is a bit of a legend. Does anyone watch The Crown? I love her in The Crown. I think I like what they've done with the role there, and I think that's quite in character because she is a bit of a ledge. I love a strong female role model in art and in life. Talking of strong female role models, next up we've got Florence Nightingale. We're just leaving the Mall and walking up these steps towards Pall Mall. So, Pall Mall, we get Monopoly points. Okay, up next we've got Florence Nightingale. Did you know she was a night owl, and she had a pet owl called Athena? Interesting, huh? I love a quirky fact. She also believed that education was essential for women to achieve independence and fulfill their potential. Talking of well-educated women fulfilling their potential, next up we've got Nancy Astor, a trailblazing woman known for her colourful personality and her achievements in politics. So in 1919, Nancy Astor made history by being the first woman to take her seat in the House of Commons as a Member of Parliament. Nancy Astor lived here in this beautiful Grade 2 listed house with her husband, Waldorf Astor. You know, Waldorf Astor as in Waldorf salad from the famous American family, as in the Waldorf Astoria in New York, that family. So they lived here. Nancy, as well as being into politics, was also into literature. She was a published author, and she wrote a few books and essays on her experiences as a pioneering woman in politics. And talking of pioneers, let's have a look at our next blue plaque, which is for the scientific pioneer Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace is often referred to as the world's first computer programmer, and she's a remarkable woman whose contributions to science and technology have had a profound effect on modern society. She was Lord Byron's daughter, and he wasn't interested in Ada. He wanted a son, and she turned out to be a girl, and he wasn't he wasn't happy, he wasn't bothered. So she had very little to do with her father, but she did meet a father figure called Charles Babbage, who was like an absolute brainiac, and basically he took her under his wing. And the pair of them, they were an absolute dream team. She's such an interesting character to find out more about, so I highly recommend looking her up. Next up, we've got some green points for St James's Square. I love these beautiful little squares. I'm quite mindful of the time. We're nearing the half an hour mark, which is like the usual length of my videos. So I'm going to hit the boost button. Super Mario speed through some of this footage. Now we've got a few more things to see, but I don't want the video to be too long. Here we've got the oldest surviving blue plaque in London for Napoleon III, and we're now heading down King Street on our way to join St James's Street to find the oldest hat shop in the world. Here it is. So this shop dates back to 1676 and the shop's remained at the same location since its inception. So it really is an historic landmark. 1676, that's just 10 years after the Great Fire of London. So Lock & Co is celebrated for its craftsmanship and its role in the British fashion industry. It holds a royal warrant. It's had some famous patrons over the years, including Oscar Wilde, Beau Brummell, Charlie Chaplin. Yes, they did design that hat that he wore as the little tramp. Winston Churchill, Lord Nelson, yes, they also designed that hat. Then, just along from there, we've got this Pickering Place, which is a gorgeous little hidden alleyway / courtyard. It's been home to a few notable people over the years. Beau Brummell used to live down here, and Graham Greene, the author of Brighton Rock, so it gets book points. Back in the day, it actually used to be a bit of a den of iniquity. It was a gambling spot and a spot where gentlemen used to meet to duel. Rumour has it the phrase pistols at dawn was coined here because they used to congregate at dawn to have their duels. They liked to meet under the cover of darkness to avoid getting into trouble with the law. I love these little alleyways. Exploring on foot really is the best way to see London. Next up, we've got the Grade 1 listed St James's Palace, built by Henry VIII. This was the primary royal residence of all the monarchs, right up until Queen Victoria. It's mad to think Henry VIII lived here, isn't it? With his wives. Do you know, Henry VIII, he's an interesting fellow, isn't he? Because actually, if you look at the dates, he married his first wife when he was 17. So he was a teenager when he married his first wife. And then all the other wives, they didn't happen till much later. So he obviously had some sort of mad panic in his 40s because he needed an heir and a spare. And from the age of 41 to 52, he married all the others. So he kind of went through a wife every couple of years in quick succession. Interesting, right? We're just heading east down Pall Mall. This is number 78 Pall Mall. This is the only house on the south side of Pall Mall that isn't owned by the Crown. This property was gifted to Nell Gwyn. Nell Gwyn was King Charles II's mistress, and he gifted her this property, but she found out that he'd only gifted her the leasehold and she wasn't very happy about that, so she held out until he gifted her the freehold, and he had to do that via an act of parliament. She had this up until her death. In fact, it then transferred over to her sons, her heirs, but unfortunately they lost it due to debts. Next door to that, there's another blue plaque. This is for Thomas Gainsborough, the artist. Aren't these houses beautiful? Absolutely stunning. And now we're just heading along Pall Mall for yet another blue plaque. This is a City of Westminster one for Frederick Windsor, who in 1807 demonstrated street lighting using gas on this street. So his pioneering work, we've seen a lot of pioneers today, haven't we? His pioneering work led to the establishment of gas lighting all over, and it was a major innovation. Can you imagine like what it would have been like with no street lights? It would have been absolutely pitch black. People used to carry around like torches, like flames. Posh people used to have torch carriers to do that for them. I mean, on some of the bigger houses we've seen in previous videos, they've got those little things outside the house to put the torch in or out. I'm just taking you down here, Carlton Gardens, because it's a cheeky little cut through to St James's Park. Right, we've got a plaque here for George Curzon. Then right next door to that, we've got a plaque for Lord Palmerstone. We saw him earlier, didn't we, down Queen Anne's Gate. And then next door to him, we've got Charles de Gaulle. And then just on from there, at number 2 Carlton Gardens, we've got Lord Kitchener. Now, you might look at this guy and think, I recognise that face. You probably do, because he's this guy. He's the face of the Your Country Needs You recruitment posters. That's pretty iconic, right? Next door to Lord Kitchener's old house are some steps which get you down onto the Mall. And there you'll find one of my favourite statues in London. This one, of the Queen Mum. It's a bronze sculpture by Philip Jackson and it's been here since 2009. There's a relief sculpture that's part of it, and that was done by Paul Day, and I just think it's fabulous. It includes everything that the Queen Mum held dear. The ascot there, she's got her family there, and she's got the corgis. I just love it. It's just so gorgeous. I think all that's missing is a G&T. She loved a G&T, the old Queen Mum. And that, my lovely friends, is the end of our womble around St James's Park. I hope you enjoyed our little walk. As well as videos, I also make little maps, like little guided tours, which I upload onto the Go Jauntly app. So if you like my walks and want to give one of them a go, you can download the app for free and follow along in there. If you like this video and you want to learn more about the other London parks, then may I suggest checking out one of my other park videos, Hyde Park Corner, and I did Kensington Gardens when I did Lancaster Gate, so maybe check out one of those. And then if you're watching in the future and you like this area, then maybe check out Westminster. I haven't done that one yet, but I know it's on my list. It's on my dance card. So if you are watching in the future, maybe check out my Westminster video. And thank you for watching to the end. The people that watch to the end are my favourite kind of people. So thank you, and thank you for all your support. I'll see you next time. We're off to Temple next.